My people, another guy don't come outside. This guy pass very dark man. This guy, they vanish enter prison. They vanish enter prison. Go investigate what they happen for prison. All the corruption where they happen for prison. This guy don't bring all of them come outside. This guy go arise TV station. May see the way to expose the corruption where they happen for Nigeria prison. And they tell you, this guy, pass very dark man. Watch video.
Mr. Francis's questions.
Yeah. First
or
thing
statements.
I'll say is, for every investigation I've done, it's because ordinary people went through those systems and encountered problems, and they thought it had to be escalated. So I didn't just, someone went to prison and came out and said, oh, wow, that's a cesspool of corruption. You need to find a way to get in. The person went to prison in 2017. It took me 2 years to plan, and in 2019, I went in. Now, I spent 5 nights in the police cell. All they wanted to do was collect bribes to free me. Because I didn't pay bribes.
This is from your own personal experience?
From my personal, we got someone to arrange that. I bought a car, a vehicle. I paid, out of 2.8, I paid 500, and I didn't want to pay the rest.
Okay, that's the
claim that was taken to the police,
okay.
And then they picked me up and changed the charge to stealing and hijacking of SUV. Person said I didn't complete payment, and I didn't want to. So each day they were asking, oh, you don't have someone to come and settle your bill. They just wanted bribes. But I wanted to go to prison because police was not the target. So at the end, after Monday to Friday, they had to arraign me in court. First thing to note is that once the magistrate said remanded in prison custody, and the court closed, and they took me down to the holding cell, the first thing the prison warder did, there was a lady who was, working as my sister. They told me to go into their office in court, and they told her to peep into the holding cell. I had peeped myself, I saw, and they told her, is that the kind of place you want your brother to stay? Give us money, and your brother will stay in our office. Because we needed to be there until evening when the prison boss would go around all the courts to convey inmates to prison. The prison warders approached me, I didn't approach them. And then, there was a negotiation, and then she settled for 5,000 naira.
5,000 naira?
Oh, yes. It's on tape. I want him to produce the videos the prison service seized from me in 2019. Because when you say some allegations are unsubstantiated, the ones that are substantiated, that were taped, that the prison service seized from me, produce them.
Wow.
Oh, yes. Not only that, then they came and then they said, oh, in prison, if you have money, you will never suffer. You serve the prison either with your body or with your money. I can tell you Bobrisky did not spend time in prison. Spent 3 weeks and they moved him out. There's no single Nigerian who has money and does not want to complete their time in prison that will do it. It's only if they want to. From there, they told me I could get a decent place to stay in prison for 50,000, for 100,000, for 150. He even said 1 million. This was in 2019.
1 million. So how much are they supposed to be charging you per day for this supposed?
Different special rooms, depending on how much money you have. When the guy said 1 million, I said 1 million. He said yes. When Fayoshe was in Ikoyi prison, do you think he stayed in the general cell?
Wow.
That's the answer they gave me. These things are on tape. I'm not making allegations. These were things that happened to me that I filmed with the secret service. Tell the Nigerian Prison Service to produce it. Everything is on tape. The warders then told me that the warders in the prison had told the ones in court not to be striking deals with inmates, to wait for the inmates to get to prison so that the ones in prison would strike the deals by themselves.
Oh, because we're changing the warders.
Yes,
by striking
the warders in court. Yes, even in court, somebody approached me. The warders, call say, who is working on your bill? They called someone. The person, the lawyer, came and said, I work with the magistrate. If you pay 200,000 naira, you will sleep in your house tonight, even though the magistrate had pronounced remanded in prison.
Wow.
Yes, the only reason it didn't work out is I wanted to go to prison, not to get out.
So even when you were in prison, what was the condition like?
You get to prison,
wise, health-wise,
before you talk about sanitation, corruption it's an impossibly corrupt system. You get documented as a new inmate. They take your details and you submit any cash on you. The idea is that inmates should not be in possession of cash. You give your cash to the records office. Then you go back to the records office to say, oh, I want to make a call. I want to buy coke. I want to buy food. They release to you in bits so that you can't commit any crime. You can't do it. They then have, the warders then have convicts. Remember, they're awaiting trial inmates. They're convicted inmates. The convicted inmates know that they have nowhere to go. Someone who has a 7-year jail sentence, a 10-year jail sentence, is loyal to the prison warders. Because you have that's your home for the next 7, 10, regardless of your sentence. Those ones then come to you, being documented, say, out of your money, you will remove 1,000 naira to the woman at the records office, doing the documentation. And we're many. When they allocate, so after they take your pictures online, then in print, they do double documentation online and in print, and then they allocate you to a cell. The prison warder in charge of the cell, you have to pay that one. As of then, 29, it was 1,000 naira.
Per what? Per
just for being in the cell, for nothing.
How many of you are usually in the cell?
So many, it depends on how many inmates they bring in. I spent 8 days in Ikoyi prison. The lowest number of awaiting trial inmates brought in was 16. Sometimes 40-something, sometimes,
40-something in that one cell?
No. Just, there's so... On the first night, you sleep in a place called welcome cell. You don't sleep like this. You don't sleep like this. You sleep like this. If
what,
you're like crayfish, when you open sardine, have you ever opened sardine? The way they pack, I'm not exaggerating. It's exactly. If Bobby spend one night in welcome cell, you think he will come out and speak to anybody? You won't come out. That first night, you keep asking yourself, who sent me?
Wow. Because
if I sleep and my head is facing the direction, this way, the next person to me, the head then is in this direction.
So
you cannot turn.
Is at the back of your
yes,
head.
You cannot turn. You sleep like this all night. If there's no how you cannot turn. That's how you sleep. It's punishment is, and the thing is that once you have money, you bypass all these things. So
really,
the prison authorities have to decide what they want to do. Is the prison supposed to be a punitive, or I've never referred to them as Nigerian correctionals. What are they correcting? Many of these prison warders should actually be behind bars themselves. Inmates have phones. How do they have phones? The warders sell phones to inmates. This is not an allegation. Some of the tweets you see are inmates tweeting on Facebook. Now, if you want inmates to have access to phones, yes, whatever. I'm not saying inmates should go there and want to commit suicide because they're in prison. It has to be a level playing ground. You don't bring people in for corruption and then you sell. So I want a phone in prison. A warder then comes and says it's 250,000. The phone is 150,000 in the market. The warder sells it for 250,000, and then that's it.
And where do you get it? Supposed 250,000 to pay for it?
It's your choice. If you want the phone, are you not the one who wants to? You are in prison. You are in prison. You don't have a choice. By the way, a prisoner, and even if it's awaiting trial, you can't talk to a warder unless you squat. You can't stand.
What do you mean squat? As in literally squat?
Yes. You cannot squat. You can't. If a warder is seated and you want to talk to that warder, you can't stand and talk. You squat. Awaiting trial, you've not been pronounced guilty. So it is that bad. Now, when the system refuses to acknowledge its failings, then there won't be progress. So if it comes on national TV to then come and say there are allegations, that's not progress. They seized my device. So ask them, produce that device. Let us watch the videos. Shoyamba is lying. Let's play the videos we seized from him to prove that he's a liar.
Okay, let me get to Inibehe. This is just very amazing. So Inibehe, I want to ask Inibehe a question before I get to Mr. Francis. So Inibehe, let me ask you. You have been in prison before. So first and foremost, I would like for you to share your own personal experience as well. But aside that, what are the legal repercussions for prisoners who have arranged preferential treatment for their sentences? Can they be reincarcerated?
On the 27th of July, 2022, I appeared before the learned Chief Judge of Akwa Ibom State, the Honorable Justice Ekaite Fabian Obut, in a libel suit filed by the immediate past governor of Akwa Ibom State, Mr. Udom Gabriel Emmanuel, against my client, Mr. Liu Ekpenyo. When the Chief Judge came in that day, in summary, armed policemen with AK-47 were brought inside the courtroom and they sat directly behind me. And that was the first thing that happened immediately the Chief Judge came in. And so the proceedings started. Before then, of course, I had already filed application praying the Honorable Chief Judge to recuse herself from further presiding over the matter. The application was never taken, it was ignored. So when the proceedings started, of course, I tried to make the Chief Judge to hear that application. Again, it was ignored. In the course of the proceedings, a journalist with Premium Times, Mr. Xavier Imogdo, this chief judge ordered him to stand up. Of course, he has been covering the court and making reports about the proceedings in the matter. So the chief judge, in summary, ordered him to leave the court, and then he was arrested and taken out of the court. As a lawyer, I just stood up and said, my lord, we had thought that the Constitution allows for publicity of trial and that the court should be accessible to all persons, including the media. Of course, the chief judge berated me and then stated that except I was the one who brought in the journalists to disparage her. So I left the issue. I now went to the issue of the armed men who were behind me. I said, my lord, I have also observed the presence of armed men in court, that this is not the tradition of our profession. Even though I'm not afraid of them, however, it has created hostility and trial cannot continue under this atmosphere. My lord, may they be ordered to leave the court. The chief judge was very inflamed, very infuriated by that observation, and then rejected it. So I then said, my lord, I'm now making it as a formal application. Because as a lawyer, if you make an appeal to a judge, the judge can say no, but the law allows you to make it formally, in which case the judge is required to make a ruling, write a ruling. So as I was talking, you know when you are talking as a lawyer, and the judge is writing what you are saying, you feel you are making sense, that you are sounding intelligible. Unknown to me, it was my committal to prison that the chief judge was writing. It had absolutely nothing to do with